What's up, Browns fans? Welcome to episode 15 of the Dawgs podcast. Let's kick this thing off.
Welcome to the Dawgs podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Zach Kopp, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dawgs, episode 15. We're officially 3.5 months into this thing. We got some big news coming up, in our future, so stay tuned. We're taking this thing global. It's good to see you fellas again.
This thing's already global. I mean, it's a podcast, right?
Hey, I'm not going to lie. We do have people on, our social media across the pond who like us.
Yeah.
England, Greece.
England, yeah.
We got a guy out in California. Shout out Glenn Hammond. He's always commenting on our stuff. He's out there in Cali. So, we're already global. We're,
right.
We're just going to take this thing to the next level. Before we dive into this episode, remember, if you're watching us on YouTube, to please hit the subscribe button. Trying to get to 100 subscribers. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. As always, let us know what you think of the episodes in the comments. We always comment back. We love your interaction. Comment anything you want to hear talked about on the show, especially now that Browns training camp started. Something pops up that you think we need to talk about, let us know. Maybe we'll talk about it. All the interaction we get from you guys is kind of like what keeps us energized to keep making episodes. So we appreciate all the support and all the feedback. All right, guys, let's go around the league here before we dive into some Browns news. Big news, AFC North, which I'm not going to lie, this makes me really happy. Earl Thomas sent home from Ravens camp the other day for fighting, and the veterans don't want him back. And right before we came on the air right here, we saw that the Ravens are definitely getting rid of him, either releasing him or trading him sometime in the next couple of days. So by the time you guys hear this, he might not even be on the Ravens anymore.
Right. Yeah, it's very true. I guess that he got into some type of an argument with Chuck Clark, one of their other safeties, and threw a punch at him. They sent him home like right away or whatnot, and then so now they're totally moving on. A lot of times, if it's like a big star, you see kind of like, oh yeah, we disciplined him or whatnot, but he was at practice the next day, type of a thing. Ravens aren't messing around with this one.
This is the second time, though, he's had an issue with a teammate with the Ravens, I saw. He had a training camp problem last year with somebody, and they had to discipline him. He's kind of a head case.
How much do you guys think this is that just a bad offseason really led to more issues? Baltimore maybe not being one to be involved in his outside life. I don't know if you guys read that article where he was just
I remember that
held
article.
at gunpoint by his girlfriend, wife, fiance, not sure, brotherly love, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if that's what his reality TV show.
Maybe they're going to trade him to Philadelphia.
Oh boy.
I forgot about that. But he's just a little bit of a head case. I remember, when he was getting carted off in Seattle, flipped off Pete Carroll and stuff like that. Which, everybody, consensus around the league is Pete Carroll's like one of the best coaches to play for, and he couldn't get along with that guy. So, and then he comes to Baltimore, he fights last year, fights this year. I mean, he's legit, Pro Bowler every year kind of guy. He makes their defense, and they're willing to just get rid of him because of this. So what's that say about him?
Yeah, and they gave him a big deal. I mean, when they signed him, it was 4-year, $55 million with $32 million guaranteed. And he's not a young guy, you know?
Yeah. And I'm not going to lie, this just makes me super happy. I love anything bad that happens to the Ravens.
Yeah.
So couldn't have happened to a nicer team. Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. Just really bummed out for them. So more AFC North news. AJ Green already hurt in Cincinnati, which I saw that, he's day-to-day. He's not expected to be out long, but until the next one.
Yeah, until the next one. AJ Green being hurt is always a matter of when, not if.
Yeah, not going to lie, this is a big reason why I took T. Higgins yesterday because this guy's always hurt. So it's just going to be opportunity. But, it sucks for A.J. Green. I don't have a problem with him except for the fact he plays for Cincinnati. But the dude is just – he can never stay healthy anymore.
No, and when he was healthy, man, AJ Green was such a good receiver.
He's in the discussion for best in the league.
Every year.
Yeah, and if you look at his stats, I never even realized how good he was until we were going back looking at other receivers in the AFC North. Dude was a beast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it sucks that he can never stay healthy, but Sucks for Joe Burrow.
It's good for us.
Yeah.
I mean, if he plays a game or two or something like that, or if he's kind of around with Joe Burrow this year, that could be really good for Burrow, but he's definitely not playing 16. He's not going to be – A.J. Green is no longer A.J. Green.
Yep. And from what I saw, the coach, Zach Taylor, said it's all precautionary. This isn't a big deal, blah, blah, blah. But that's what you're going to say.
Yeah, blah, blah,
yeah,
blah.
Exactly. You're throwing that out there. You're definitely not going, turns out his feet and his knees and, whatever else is wrong. Lower body altogether is just falling apart day by day. So
I just threw this one in here. I didn't even tell you guys about it, but Jarrett Stidham just throwing tons of interceptions in Patriots camp. Your boy over there, Josh.
I also did see that.
Stidham has also got a hip injury, so I don't think he's going to win the job.
Yeah.
I think I might have been wrong.
He just did it to make you look bad.
Yeah.
But in Josh's defense, if we would have talked about it after the first day of training camp, they said he looked really good.
That's right.
Absolutely. Yeah, I did send. He said he looked.
Justin mentioned that in our group chat. Just so you guys know, we talk daily about all this stuff.
It's only been a week. I mean, Cam Newton's he's got a couple more weeks to screw up. Stidham can swoop in and take the job. It'll happen. Just give us some time.
Yeah, I'm surprised Bill Belichick didn't tell Cam Newton hey, you can't wear your hair like that to play on the Patriots. some of the photos
you see him dancing out there and singing and everything.
Gosh, that is not a Bill Belichick. Tom Brady wasn't out there doing that type stuff.
No,
I saw a meme of Cam Newton in the Patriots uniform with his hair, and then next to him it was the guy from Scary Movie.
Yeah,
he looked like spot on. It was awesome.
Wayne brothers.
Yeah. And then so last big news for the league, and I think this is just good for football and people who enjoy hearing. New Monday Night Football crew named. No more Booger McFarland on Monday nights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean he was hard to listen to. They started with the whole contraption they had on the sidelines that he was riding up and down the sideline blocking people who paid a lot of money to watch the game, front row. Is you got
on his
Booger,
little
on his little cart there that he had, going back and forth. He was just bad. I mean, I hated listening to him. I really wasn't a big fan of Tessitore. I wasn't a big fan of him either. I mean, he had the announcer voice, but I don't know. It just didn't mesh well.
Didn't fit with the words.
Yeah, and Witten had enough backlash the year before. He's like, I got to get back in the league.
Yeah. Monday Night Football has never been,
since Gruden left.
How many years in a row? I mean, it's just been absolute garbage. I mean, I watched that thing on mute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's bad.
That's why Jason Witten went back to football.
Yeah.
He literally, I guarantee he doesn't even still be playing, but he was like, man, I'm getting trashed on Twitter right now. I cannot do another season of this.
I can go back out there and block a couple guys and make a couple $1 million.
Yeah. So the new crews, Steve Levy, Louis Riddick, and Brian Greasy. I wanted Dan Orlovsky to get a shot, but these guys, I still think, I like Louis Riddick, and Steve Levy used to be one of my favorite SportsCenter anchors.
Yeah.
So, and Brian Greasy's good. I think, anything's going to be better than Booger McFarland.
Yeah. Brian Greasy definitely, knows how to talk about and interpret the game in the right way. He's not like a Booger McFarland that was just stating obvious things that were happening.
Hey, we're at a brown table.
Right. And Louis Riddick, he is just, he used to be a front office guy.
Yep.
He knows what he's talking about, especially scouting players, stuff like that. So and these guys have done games here and there. It's not like the first time that either of these guys have been in a booth. But definitely better than what we were getting.
When Booger talked about a player in a game, you could tell that he had either done his research that morning or right then and there as he was talking. Oh, yeah. I was like, dude, what are you talking about?
Yeah. One of my favorite things was to, after a game, you could get online and look up all the things that he said that were wrong or, the stuff that didn't make sense. I remember I was watching the Bengals on Monday night, and he was talking about how the Bengals weren't winning, but he just really liked what Zach Taylor was doing, and they're heading in the right direction. And everyone's like, these guys got one win, and they're getting beat by 30. What could you be possibly saying that you like what they're doing right now? It's like he just had a list of cliches that he had to work through every Monday night. It was... Man, I'm so happy. They have not been able to find a replacement for Gruden.
Well, Gruden was tough.
He was terrible when he was on the sideline the year before, and then they put him in the booth. I'm like, like, who's evaluating this talent? Like, there's a lot of people over there needs fired. Like, who made that call?
Well, they probably did get fired. ESPN just fires everybody lately.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right, so we'll move into some Browns training camp news. So that's what we're going to focus on this episode. We finally have current Browns news
to talk about.
Yes.
which is pretty awesome.
Yep.
Browns started training camp 2 weeks ago. Like we kind of foresaw, injury bug hit us a little bit. First day of camp, Mack Wilson hits Nick Chubb high and gives him a concussion.
So literally 45 seconds after it happened, I got a notification on my phone. It's like Nick Chubb enters, possible concussion protocol, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what is going on? Like,
right.
what? I know it was first day in pads. So I watched the hit and I'm just like, oh, Mack Wilson, what are we doing? Just horse collar, just hit him super high. I'm like, oh, that's great. And I get it's training camp. He's not trying to earn a spot. His starting job is locked up. Mack Wilson's, he was good to go.
Well, he was.
It was locked up.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
It was. But then, we thought maybe coach was going to punish him. No, God punished him.
Yeah.
You do not hit Nick Chubb.
Karma came around quick on that one.
Because what was it, the next day or the day?
I think it was the next day.
It was the very next day.
day.
Mack Wilson busted his knee up, and he's going to be out. I think I saw, at least 8 weeks if he's lucky.
I got nervous because I was seeing that was it. And he was
I
like,
think
he sent out
it's just like best case scenario, isn't it?
He sent out a tweet or something, right? Like that made it. I forget exactly what it said, but it made it sound like
he's coming back.
It made it sound like he knew he was out.
Oh, yeah.
So it said that he could have season-ending surgery.
Right, that's what I read.
That he's got more exams coming up, and when the swelling goes down, then Dr. James Andrews,
second opinion.
The guy's got to be, just loaded. Every athlete goes to this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no other doctor in the world that can look at an athlete unless it's Dr. Andrews.
Shoulder.
Yeah.
I will say though, I mean, it's such a good thing that we're so deep at linebacker and we can just plug somebody new in there and not miss a beat.
So speaking of that, is there anybody out there free agent wise, or do we need to make a move and bring somebody in?
We got to do something.
Yeah. I mean, one of the guys I talked about this, I think way back, like second episode, I was big on just bringing in like a guy like Clay Matthews with Mack Wilson on the team already.
Yeah.
I was big on, bringing a guy like him in, especially with the history that his dad has with the team. I'm surprised that he's out there unsigned. He was one of the guys that I know that I think we should go out, and it wouldn't have to. I don't think it costs us very much because he ain't getting any other offers.
No, it's crazy that he's still out there, just available.
Yeah,
maybe we should have re-signed Joe Schobert
or Kirksey.
Just sign one of them
or somebody.
So I know this sounds crazy though, but I've been seeing a lot of video from training camp, and BJ Goodson is playing out of his mind. They're saying he showed up. And
we need him too.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and that was the guy we were like, we don't even know if he's going to start. He's kind of a scrub. Green Bay only played 7 games. He's out there showing up.
This pains me a little bit too, as I've heard that Phillips is looking great. So I mean,
that doesn't pain me at all. That's
hopefully he's proven me wrong.
Yeah.
Now then again, it's also, I'm reading these articles on Browns.com. They're not going to, Nathan Segura is not going to type up an article that says, BJ Goodson looks like garbage.
He looks like a guy that started 7 games for the Packers last year.
Obviously he's going to pump up our guys a little bit.
Absolutely.
But hopefully, no matter how good they are, we got to, even just for depth purposes, we got to find somebody to bring in. You got to think that's on our radar.
Yeah, Malcolm Smith, I just looked up the Browns, recent rumors. They brought him in for a workout this week. Had 2 really good years in Oakland in 2015, 2016. Been around since 2011, was drafted by Seattle. Had 122 tackles in 1,503 in 2016. Then he didn't play for a year. Then he came back in 2018, played for San Francisco. So he's kind of just a fill-in type guy. But he's one of the guys that we've brought in recently to maybe fill the void of how long Mack Wilson's going to be out.
It almost seems like our front office and our coaches, they just don't see linebacker as like I don't know, maybe it's our defensive scheme. They just don't see linebackers being a position that needs to be, I don't know, maybe overloaded with talent, or maybe we're underselling the talent we have. Maybe they see something that we're not seeing.
Yeah,
and we're actually loaded at middle linebacker.
I mean, they want the things that they've talked about the last few years have been pressure the quarterback and, defend on the outside. So they want those DBs to be locked down on those defenders, and then they want the D line to get after the quarterback. So, yeah, I guess in a way it's probably some of that, Blake, where they think the linebacking crew, you guys just got to hold down the fort in the middle. You know what I mean? Because the quarterback's going to have to probably dump off passes if we're getting after the quarterback the way they want to. So, and that's why Mack Wilson was a great pick, because he was that cover linebacker.
Another option we have too is, I don't know if you guys saw it, CFL got canceled sometime this week, like I think Monday or Tuesday.
Really?
So you have a ton of average talent. I mean, better than you could make the argument. Maybe some of those guys are better than some of the guys that we have.
I mean, Doug Flutie played in the CFL.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's guys that aren't going to get a paycheck now.
They're sitting and they're going to be hungry.
Yeah. And real quick to rewind, Nick Chubb, he has cleared the protocol, so he's good to go.
He's good to go.
Yep. He's all right, but Mack Wilson is not.
No, and he's back, but that's one concussion he didn't need to have.
Right.
Not right at the beginning.
You know what I mean?
Especially with everything.
You want to keep that concussion number low.
Yeah.
I got 4 in my life, and I forget a lot of things. So you want to keep it low.
Is that what you tell your future wife, Kiva? Like, I got hit a lot when I was playing football.
Sorry, I
Kiva.
didn't sweep the floor.
This might be bad for people, but like anytime I forget something, I'll be like, oh, my CTE's acting up. Oh my God. So, hey, until they tell me I don't have it, I can say I have it.
Gotcha.
All right, so then just move us into. Oh, I guess we got one more injury. I almost skipped over. This is a kind of a big hit. Kevin Johnson, huge standout camp so far. Everybody was loving what he was doing. And a cornerback lacerated his spleen when somebody landed on him.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the kind of stuff we were talking about when we said, like, freak injuries were going to happen at the start of training. Lacerated his spleen. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I mean, they're saying that for his lacerations go, it was fairly minor.
Yeah.
But somebody who had this type of injury was Brown safety back in 2016, Jordan Poyer. Mm-hmm. He had the same thing. He was out 4 months.
Oh, great.
So they're looking at maybe he can make it back by the first quarter of the season, but I think that he's got to be out for some time.
Yeah.
Just as a healing thing. Maybe not like a pain, anything like that, but it's just like, hey.
My spleen's lacerated.
Yeah.
I'm not
we
going
got to
out
wait
there,
for this
coach.
thing to fully. It's one of those things, too, you got to wait for it to fully. How many times you go out there and they're like, I can play at 70% or 80%. Yeah, you can't do that with a spleen.
Yeah.
So.
This gives undrafted free agent AJ Green a chance to possibly make this roster, especially if he's playing well in camp. So I guess we'll see what happens with the Browns. We'll see if they feel like we have enough depth there, or if he's going to be out and Green isn't stepping up, if we end up making a move, bringing in another corner. I think our secondary depth is a lot better than what our linebacker depth is. So this injury, even though it sucks and it hurts, it's not as devastating to me as losing a Mack Wilson.
Well, Mack Wilson was a starting piece, and like you said, Johnson was depth piece.
Yep.
So it does, yeah.
Yeah, and another one that I saw that I don't think you have it down, Blake. Myles Garrett did miss the first 5 days of camp.
But he came back.
Yeah,
yesterday.
he came back. It was a hamstring injury.
I did not even know that.
And Beckham left too, didn't he?
My CTE
I didn't see anything. I didn't see Beckham. I didn't see.
I thought I saw he left a practice early, I believe, but he did return, or they said it was nothing. I'd have to find it again, but.
Yeah, I'm trying to look because here I got a rundown here. So we got Myles Garrett missed 5 days with a hamstring injury. Nick Chubb returned from the concussion but was limited. Receiver Kadero Hodge, they've said has had an excellent camp, missed Saturday for a personal reason. And Njoku sat out of practice with a wrist injury. Punter Jamie Gillen was sick, but he was back on Saturday. Other people that have sat out: Robert McCray, Larry Ogunjobi, Damian Ratley, J.C. Treader, Casey Dunn, and Donovan Peoples-Jones sat out with heat cramps.
Oh.
You know what? I almost had to sit out of the draft yesterday with heat cramps.
It is one of those things where I guess you're going to have these, little things that come up and you're going to miss some time because you just haven't been doing this type stuff for months.
A lot of these injuries too I feel like if this was the season or a big game, they probably would have played.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of, the big ones, obviously lacerated spleen, concussion knee, some of this stuff probably could have been played through, but there's no need to push it,
right.
first week of
Yeah,
training
you
camp.
want to make sure that you have the healthiest roster you can possibly have at the start of the season, which, correct me if I'm wrong, we kick off 3 weeks from today.
I just saw that
Right?
they have the countdown, and it blew my mind. It was like 22 days or
All
something.
right, so
like that. And I
we're
was
three weeks out.
Yeah, I was like, whoa.
From the time of this recording, so it'll be even sooner by the time people listen to this.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
I cannot freaking wait to watch a
And if,
Browns.
if it
goodness.
gets canceled at all,
I'll cry.
I'm gonna lose my mind.
So are we going to talk about?
I guess.
Yeah, we should dive into.
So right before we got in, we saw Brown sent home today because apparently some lab in New Jersey, I mean, we don't know if they've messed up, but it appears that they've messed up. And they've sent a bunch of false positives back to
I think
multiple teams.
we should throw out a disclaimer.
Yeah.
Listeners, viewers, I don't really know how to word this politically correctly, but I'm obviously not politically correct anyway. So, we're gonna kind of bash the coronavirus a little bit here.
Yeah. So what I read, I was getting ready to get my hair cut, and I was waiting in line. Yeah, I got to get that check in, and the great clips and all that.
Right.
So basically, they showed up and they were told that the facility had to be thoroughly cleaned. They were given a test to take home, a COVID test, and that they would just start Zoom calls immediately. But that Coach Stefanski believed that the teams that were getting these false positives, they weren't even confirmed false positives yet for the Browns, but that the Browns had Bears had 9 players tested. They were all positive, and then they were second tested, and they were basically false positives, all tied to a New Jersey testing facility.
That's the thing. They're all coming. All these positives are coming from the same facility.
Correct.
And this isn't the first facility I've seen that have had problems like this. There's been places in like Florida, Texas. So at this point anymore, you get who can believe who knows what? You know what I mean? And how many false positives have there been already? Like Matthew Stafford got told he had it, and then it was a false positive. I mean, no. How can you even believe?
Yeah, it happened with our governor. It happened with the governor of Ohio. Like he was came out.
Happened with our governor.
He just
Trump was coming to town and he was like, "Oh, I'm positive."
He had a
wasn't
bad
planned
case of I don't want to talk to Trumpitis.
Yeah,
that was what he had.
Cancel the meeting. Hey, whoa, sorry, it's a false positive. I'm good.
And it's nice of the governor, by the way, that he can just get like results in an hour. Everybody else got to wait 3-5 days. Mm-hmm. But I digress.
Yeah. So it said that 10 teams were affected. By what's going on here with this lab. Mm-hmm. Bills, Bears, Browns, Jets, Steelers, Vikings, to name a few of them in this article.
I think we'll see Browns will be back tomorrow.
I think so. I this is the NFL we're talking about. We've talked about it a lot.
Big money.
Big money. They're really not, there was the draft. It kind of all started with that. Like, what are they going to do with the draft? They're like, no, we're doing it. We're going to do a virtual, but we're doing it.
They've stuck to their plan. Like, I'll say Goodell has not. I remember getting an email, like, it was like a thing from, some NFL fan thing, but it was like a letter from Goodell, and it was like, we will have football. I can promise you this. It may not be like a normal season, but I promise you that I know this means a lot to a lot of people, and we will have this. And I was like, maybe that's a little early to throw that out there. He's not. They've done everything that they've said they were going to do so far.
Yeah. I'm just hoping this isn't one of those things that like takes a week or something like that to like unfold and get to like, I'm hoping that we're back in tomorrow. Cause if you lose a week right now and we're 3 weeks out, I would
imagine if they took COVID tests home, I would imagine those tests have already been collected and they're already at a different lab. And they're going to have, they got that DeWine results, they're going to have them within the hour.
Right. So, which remember like 3 or 4 months ago where it was like you couldn't get tested. It was like, you were not testing anyone. And now if you're an athlete or you're these important people,
if you work today, at Scheffler, you can go get a test right now to get back to work. I was
going to say, if you guys
want you back.
Yeah, you can get a test pretty much anywhere. Like it's kind of crazy.
So just to take a quick, sidestep on this whole COVID, crap situation. Let me just explain to you guys how very crucial this virus is apparently in our country. So last Friday, I was supposed to be getting ready to leave for vacation Saturday morning. My wife started feeling kind of sick. She had like a sinus thing going on. We're like, oh crap, we better, she really wasn't feeling well. So we're like, well, we better find out. So we go to the ER. They test her for COVID. We're like, well, we're leaving for vacation in the morning. How soon are the results going to be back? And they're like, probably Tuesday. Shh. And we're like, wait, like we're leaving the state. We're going to another state. We're going to drive through 5 states or whatever. And you test us for COVID and we can't even get the results. So how important is it?
I'll tell you what you should have done, Josh. I don't know what you did, but you just keep that vacation open and you just drive that car to wherever you're going, man, and just wear a mask. Everything will be great, dog.
Yeah, wear a mask.
Yeah,
we actually did end up canceling just because she wasn't feeling good, and it was like, well, if it is
you
COVID,
didn't get to go on vacation.
No, we just canceled it. Yeah.
The year of the corona.
Now, I will say it came back negative, thankfully, but we waited 5 days to find out if she even had it. It's like, well, if you want to know who has it and it's that important to know who has it, shouldn't you?
Well, I was going to tell you, if you are sick right now, we're all going to be back in the basement again doing Zoom calls. Right. We're all going to be back to April episodes of the Dogs. But yeah, it is crazy. I don't think anybody really knows what's going on anymore. It's nuts.
The NFL's just got to get to like November 10th, and then we'll be fine.
Is that an important day in American history?
It's after the election.
Okay, right.
So
interesting.
If we can make it to November, we'll all be all right.
It's either going to be really bad or it's going to be terrible.
Yeah. So hopefully everybody's okay with the Browns.
Yeah.
Right.
Who knows?
Well, so that's our injury concerns. That's what's been kind of going around as far as personnel wise. I know if you guys are like me, kind of been wondering, we don't get to be at training camp this year, so kind of wondering like who's doing what, how are we actually looking all right? So I saw a breakdown of our positions. One thing I saw, I guess it doesn't concern me, it just didn't make me thrilled, is it says the Bakers had, like kind of an up and down camp so far. And I guess it's to be expected. It's a brand new offense again. He's on his 4th head coach again. But I don't know. I guess a small part of me just had this idea like this was just such a perfect match. He was going to come out like first day and then people were going to be like, oh my God, it's Patrick Mahomes. This is insane. You know what I mean? But so I will say though that they said he's had a really good connection with Austin Hooper so far.
Yeah.
So hopefully, that new piece, and hopefully they can just get back out on the practice field and keep building up on that. Justin told me though he has heard that like Case Keenum just can't stop throwing interceptions.
Every video that I've seen that the Browns are steady putting up videos from training camp, and every time the defense makes a play,
it's Case Keenum.
It was Money Mitch yesterday. BJ Goodson's getting a pick. I'm like, oh man, Case Keenum. Not like everything I'm reading as veteran leadership in the locker room,
right? Top
backup. I'm like, okay, well, hey, but now like that makes me a little nervous, especially that's our backup.
We I forget who was it that sent the video yesterday in our chat.
That was Blake.
The pass that went up from Baker.
Oh my goodness.
Which and like Justin, you said it yesterday in our conversation about Baker needed that type of a weapon.
Yeah.
That's what he was used to, and Lincoln Riley and him like utilize that. Mark Andrews is like, and look what Mark Andrews is. Kind of the same type of player a little bit as Austin Hooper. So I think that benefits, but I think last year one of the biggest things that we saw kind of a struggle a little bit with Baker and Odell was the reps. So any reps that we aren't getting, you're not getting, all of a sudden it's game 4 or 5, and now you're finally starting to kind of know like, oh, what this guy's going to do on this cut, where he's going to be, where I got to put the ball type of a thing. I think that is a big thing, a big hurdle that we have to get over with so many new pieces, because I still think Odell and Baker really aren't still on like where they need to be.
I don't disagree with you.
But Hooper spent time down in, was it Texas? With Baker in the, whenever no one was allowed to really gather as a team. So they were down there getting acclimated.
Right.
I mean, it's awesome to see that those two are taking this so seriously. Let's get on the same page and let's get this thing going.
So I'll stick with the tight ends here real quick. Hooper, obviously, we just talked about, they said he's been a standout in camp so far. He's one of the highlights of camp. One thing that was kind of stood out to me a little bit is when I read about Njoku, it says continued improvement as a blocker and consistency at the catch point, should lead to a productive season and a friendly offense. to me, that sounds kind of like spin, like political spin, like, he's there. We got to try to make him. And then you go right into Harrison Bryant. This guy's a standout.
Yep.
It's going to be hard. The exact words in here, it's going to be hard to keep him off the field.
Good.
And so I know Dave Njoku's all in, and they keep telling him he has a role, but even early in camp, just from what I'm reading, the way I interpret this is he's going to be phased out. Yeah,
well, and Harrison Bryant, he's there and he knows what is he's like that rookie, so he's going to do whatever he's told to do. Where David Njoku's like, oh yeah, they said I'm going to have to block a little bit more this year. Harrison Bryant's like, hey, I'll do whatever you want me to do to get on the field type of mentality. But then he's got the skill set. Like so many times we see like, oh, you got a good receiving tight end and you got a good blocking tight end.
Correct.
Okay, so like if you're out there and you got a run play called and you got an audible or whatnot, now you're like, tight end I'm throwing to isn't the greatest. Harrison Bryant can do both.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier in the season here, earlier in the year, that's what Stefanski did in Minnesota. You got Kyle Rudolph out there being your kind of prototypical tight end, blocking, catching the red zone targets, but then Irv Smith was that guy always in motion, and he was a rookie last year.
Yep.
Right.
And maybe he was in motion to go out and block and stuff for some, because they ran the ball a lot with Cook and Madison. But
yes. Yep.
Irv Smith was definitely used in the passing game from time to time. And I think if Njoku, his hands are the same as they've always been, it'll be Bryant on the field.
Hey, just real quick, because I did get a notification.
Yeah,
shout out to Bleacher Report.
Yeah.
That Ravens did release Earl Thomas.
Yep.
They didn't trade him. They just released
terminated
him.
his contract. I saw that. It popped up on my phone. I was
Personal
like, oh
conduct that was adversely affected or whatnot was the reason.
It's kind of, I feel almost like the Ravens played it. I don't know. If I'm them, I come out.
It's a quick decision.
If I'm them, I come out and like, yeah, we're disappointed, but he's in our long-term success, or plans. And then I'm backdoor putting out trade feelers. But if you just come out and say we're getting rid of this guy or we're trading him, nobody's going to offer you a trade for him.
Right.
They're like, well, I'll just wait till you get rid of him.
Right. Well, it was a quick decision too. I mean, this thing didn't play out over a week or 2 weeks. No, it was like
a day.
Yeah,
there was already rumors that it was going to happen. Like the day it happened, I'm like, there's no way.
I guess the veterans came out, and I mean, so it's one of those things where upper management might want to bring him back, because of his contract and his talent. But do you risk losing the locker room?
Yeah, but I guess the Ravens, and I don't know if all NFL teams have this or not, but the Ravens have a leadership council of players or whatnot that take issues for the team. They look out for the team's best interests rather than ownership, anything like that. So almost kind of like your captain, or so. Yeah. And they said no. Hey, you don't want this guy.
He ain't got to go home, but he's got to get the hell out of here.
Hey, let's be honest here. Okay. Earl Thomas ain't going to be a free agent long.
No. Well, so you already touched on it. Do you want to say what you said right before we went on the air? And then I'll add to it. So we were talking about possible landing places, and the first team that we automatically probably thought of was Cowboys. Yeah. Because they were they were the suitor. I remember when Baltimore got him, I was like, man, I can't believe Dallas let him slip. So I already just saw that they released McCoy because he got hurt. This is the Cowboys. Right. So they released him, got $3 million, and then they restructured Tyron Smith's contract to free up $7 more million. So they have $10 million in open space. Oh, you mean the guaranteed money that Earl Thomas was supposed to make this year is what they just freed up in the last 3 days. I find that but they said Texans are in the mix right now and also the 49ers. Can you imagine for the 49ers? Man. Oh, my goodness.
I'm just a football fan, and they're not in the AFC. So if he went out there, I'd be like, man, that's just fun to watch.
49ers.
It'd be like at least richer. Yeah, Richard Sherman out there.
Listen to the teams that you just mentioned, though, that are the things that they're doing, like these preemptive strikes. These are marks of very good, well-run organizations. Yes. I mean,
except for the Texans.
Texans, Reds. There's some red flags.
Well, they're in Texas, so they probably got quick wind of Jerry. Oh, we better do the same thing. But, as much as I hate the Ravens, I got to say, this is another mark of a very good organization that, problem comes up, boom, done. Decision made. I don't care who you are, what you've done, it's over.
Yeah, the standard if you're playing for that team.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And they stick to it. So there's no okay, well, Earl Thomas got away with it, so now I'm Lamar Jackson. I can, pull some BS stunt and get away with it. No, it doesn't matter who you are.
Right.
This is the line. You cross it, you're done.
It's right. So it's kind of like if we had a wide receiver that continuously failed drug tests and we just kept bringing him back every year because he had one really solid year. I'm not saying that that's our team. I'm just saying that could be something that we, happened. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, that Josh Gordon 1 year was good enough for me. I loved it.
Obviously, we're recording this on a Sunday. It's going to come out on Thursday. By the time this drops, he might be on a team.
He's going to be in Dallas.
I would be shocked if he's not on a team kind of by Thursday.
Yeah.
So
I think that he's. I mean, and I get it. He threw the punch, got in an argument. Not the first thing that happened, but it's Earl Thomas.
I didn't even see that he threw a punch. I saw that he raised his fists up like he was like, "Hey."
Yeah. So he punched. So I guess he threw a punch or whatnot.
Yikes! That's crazy.
The safety Clark or whatnot, and then afterwards he So they got in an argument because it was a missed
assignment.
Yeah, blown coverage that resulted in a touchdown. And Earl Thomas just I guess laid into him. It was saying it was his fault. Well, and the other guy was saying, no, it was yours.
I guess, so they had an Instagram thing too. Earl Thomas, he came on, it was either Instagram or, whatever the kids are doing these days. I don't know. I don't do all that. But he said, hey, I messed up. I was having a really, really great camp, probably the best camp I've ever had. And I messed one assignment up. And, this is a tough break for me because he's like, but it is what it is. I'll take tomorrow off and I'll be back. Well, hey, man.
No, you won't.
No, you won't. Your chance. That's the thing. He can go to wherever he wants.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like
there's a market out there for you.
Yeah. I would say, hey, Cleveland. I know you guys are going to do
Baltimore.
You guys are
Hey, you want to play Baltimore twice a year?
Come on over. I mean, it's one of those things I could see the Steelers picking them up.
I was going to say, that's something the Steelers would do.
They'd be like, hey.
Or the Patriots.
Yeah.
That's a
Patriots and Minka Fitzpatrick together.
Yeah, got a discounted player coming in and, that with a checkered past.
How many times have the Patriots done that, by the way? Like a team cuts somebody and then the Patriots pick them up just because they're about to play him?
It happened this year. His name's Cam Newton.
What about Antonio Brown?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm talking the Patriots are going to play the Bengals. And the Patriots will literally pick up that was somebody that was on the Bengals 2 weeks ago just to get inside information.
Yeah.
They'll play that week against the Bengals and they'll cut that guy.
Yeah.
They do that kind of stuff all the time.
It's kind of they'll do it like somebody went down for their team. The Patriots will go up and pick the guy up before the other team can. Mm-hmm. Kind of like in fantasy football, you're like, hey, that guy's quarterback got hurt. I'm going to go. I'm before I'm on the waiver wire, so I'm going to take the best quarterback available.
They're always number one on the waiver wire. They always have the top pick in waiver wire. It's unreal. Yeah.
So what else you got, Blake?
Well, hey, so we'll move back into some more Brown stuff. Another new addition to the Browns that I wanted to talk about, maybe another case of me having too high expectations. Kendrick Wills, so far in camp, he's at the left tackle position. Mm-hmm. Again, kind of having a typical rookie camp, they're saying. Sometimes he's looking real good and other times he's struggling. I don't know. I kind of wanted to hear, man, this guy stepped in. He just looks like he's just manhandling people.
This is going to be
that's unrealistic.
A really rough year for rookies across the league. I mean, you really had your first offseason cut drastically short, with COVID and everything. And now these are really your first reps, and you're not going to get any game reps whatsoever until week 1 when it matters. Like, it's the first time you step on a field in a game situation in the NFL, it counts. So I think that's to be expected, but at least, you got the reports of him looking good too.
I will say this. He's not going up against scrubs.
Oh, yeah.
He said he's primarily working against Adrian Claiborne and Olivier Vernon.
Right.
Healthy and kind of recharged Olivier Vernon. That's out to prove something this year.
Yeah, and Adrian Claiborne had 6 sacks in a game.
Yeah, so and they said that they're not. I mean, they're teaching him, but they're kind of throwing him in the fire. They're having him go against those guys, and they said that he'll have to line up against Myles Garrett in practice. Just Myles Garrett hasn't been there. He wasn't there for a week.
But that's great because he's going to be lining up against T.J. Watt.
Yeah,
and just think of all the teams we've already gone through the schedule for this year, but there's a lot of really good defensive linemen that he's going to have to deal with.
Well, right? And week to week, for the most part, you're not going to get a week where you're like, oh, this guy's not that good. Just about every team has a premier, and or You know, he's going to have to match up against these guys.
Yeah, and where are they going to send those guys to if you're going to blitz Baker because you got Conklin on the other side?
Absolutely. Yep.
Go after the rookie.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you guys also saw this. So Treader went down and Nick Harris had to step in, the rookie. So they now this is coach. Maybe this is just coach being coach, but just said completely stepped in, exceeded expectations. Wouldn't be surprised if he was in a starting role at some point, even as a rookie. Which now that's crazy for Treader because he might even be. That's a real competition at that job now. I read
the biggest thing I read for Nick Harris so far was when he's in there, you haven't really noticed him.
Really?
Which for offensive line, for rookie offensive line, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's kind of how like we only know who Cam Irving is because he was so bad.
Yeah.
And he was just constantly getting mauled and giving up sacks.
That's true because you played O-line back in the day, so you know that if your name was not getting said, you're doing a good job.
Exactly. Yep. You want to go as an offensive lineman, you're hoping nobody knows who you are. Because if they know who you are, you're probably Cam Irving. So that's a good compliment for Nick Harris. That means he stepped in. And we got him late. A lot of teams passed on him because of his size, and it's kind of looking like he might end up being kind of a steal. You know?
Right.
So that's good for us. One thing about Wills, I saw Joe Thomas said, obviously he's been up and he's been down. He's been going against these guys. He said, but just wait till you see like 3 weeks from now. He said he's going to pick it up so quick. So Joe Thomas is still super high on the guy. Good. And so I'm still super high on the guy.
And the more we talk about this stuff, like I'm getting excited to do this show next week and the week after, as we have more and more of these guys taking these reps and training camp, more stories coming out. I'm just getting so psyched for football.
I can't wait for our Ravens preview.
Yeah.
I cannot wait.
Yeah. One of the other guys that has been like, they've been raving about him in camp is Jordan Elliott.
Yes, I saw that.
Because Ogunjobi's kind of been out dealing with a groin injury, Jordan Elliott has been like phenomenal in camp. They said, I got a quote here from Chris Kiven said, that they had the rookies in, to start training camps. I got to come in a little bit earlier because of them being rookies. And he said, hey, we got a lot of time to get these reps in. You don't got to go hard right now. And he was like, no, we can't waste any time. Like, he's asking the right questions. He says he's a guy that we're excited about, talented enough to get in there and play right away. So he's definitely part of our defensive plan.
All the NFL personnel were surprised that he fell as far as he did in the draft. Everything that I had read was he was first round talent that just, for some reason, just slipped.
Kind of the story of the Browns draft.
Yeah.
Just so.
Yeah, and he's one of those guys, that kind of fell, so he's got a chip on his shoulder. But, that's almost like, you want to hit on your top draft picks, right? But that also comes with an ego of being a top draft pick of like, hey, I was taking top 10. I don't got to work kind of as hard as, third rounder over here, type of a thing. But that guy works his tail off, and most of the time they work out more than most of the first round people.
Well, and they're the guys taking the most training camp reps, typically because you're higher draft picks. They get a little injury, they tweak a little something. All right, we'll play it safe with them, and that's where these other guys like, okay, this is my chance, and they go hard.
That's what I would say. There's never a good thing about injuries, but a silver lining to injuries, it gives you a chance to see a guy like Jordan Elliott getting reps who might not necessarily got first team reps if Ogunjobi's not hurt.
Exactly.
So you got to life hands you lemons. Watch Jordan Elliott.
Yeah, you make lemon pie.
Yeah. Right. One thing we glossed over a little bit earlier, we were talking about the wide receivers. Everything I've read so far that says Odell he looks energized, he looks healthy, and he's like literally unguardable.
Did we see that one-handed catch?
He does not get his hair cut at Great Clips. I'm sure he does not.
No. He's going to super cuts.
Absolutely. He's going to sports cuts or whatever it is.
Right.
The MVP treatment.
No, they said he looks unguardable.
I did see the one-handed catch, Josh, by the way. I did. That was, it's just very Odell.
I get it. I get it's practice. Yeah. But it's come
cool,
on,
man.
You still got to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Every game that, during warm up last year, that's all you ever see that guy doing. It's just ridiculous. I didn't see him make one just normal catch as a receiver last year with two hands. He was just behind the head, jumping through the air. Guy's a playmaker.
Yeah, he's looked like a stud. They said Jarvis looks obviously like what we expect from Jarvis. He's just been Jarvis Landry. One thing, I want to get into is that third wide receiver slot it's still wide open. I think we kind of all came into this season thinking it was Rashard Higgins' job to lose. And from what I'm seeing, they said he's had a very slow start to camp. Higgins has not grabbed this role.
Hollywood. He's one of those guys who probably thought he was going to be that third.
Might be playing in Hollywood down the road.
So somebody who they said has been kind of jumping off the tape is Peoples-Jones.
I saw that. Yep. I mean, there was the highlight video out of camp of him catching the touchdown from Baker. And
he's super fast. Like, if he gets the ball in open field, he's going to be hard for, guys to keep up with. I think when we drafted him, I thought we got a steal. I know he didn't put up the yards or, had the big career in college.
I talk so much crap on him.
But you got to remember, too, Michigan they're not known to be like a passing offense. Yeah, they never have a good quarterback. I mean,
And to me, the biggest sign was never the 100-yard game thing. That was to me, that was just like.
That's because they only pass for 104 every game.
Right.
That was just my biggest thing.
80 of their 100 yards passing. Like, hey, guys, give me the ball.
But yeah, so.
Can you imagine how many times he probably had to hear that, though, of like coming out like, hey, man, you didn't have 100-yard game. Yeah. And his, guys, they threw me 4 passes.
Wouldn't it be nice if Michigan's suckiness was somehow our, hidden treasure?
You know what I mean? We tried that before, and it didn't translate.
Yeah, that was in the first round, though.
Unless it was completely a wild, let me bomb it to you into triple coverage and I'll catch it. But if it's breakout wide open down the field, 40 yards, I'm definitely dropping that. Braylon Edwards, we know where you are.
Yep.
This says if you were to design a prototype number 1 receiver in the lab, he'd look like Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Oh.
So, I mean, who knows? Maybe we got a steal, and we got Odell, we have Jarvis, we have Hooper. I mean, this could be like a tailor-made offense for him to just kind of sneak into that third receiver role, carve out a little niche, get 5-6 targets a game, and just kind of be a stud.
Sure, because if all goes well, at least in my mind and based on the offensive scheme and everything, the third wide receiver should not be that heavily relied upon.
Right.
So it wouldn't be that high of a pressure position either.
Yeah, and you think about the sets we're going to throw out there. How many 2 tight end sets are we going to have? I think we're going to have a lot. Okay, and then we also added another key free agent who they've been talking about, Raven and Camp 2 is our fullback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's been catching the ball.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, we might have majority of our sets might only be 2 wide receiver sets just because we have so many other weapons to dictate, and that might be beneficial for an Odell and a Jarvis because now you don't have, 2 safeties sitting back there because they got to bring somebody up in the box so you can get more of those. One of those guys is going to be one-on-one, on the outside.
And you can't leave either one of those guys one-on-one.
And if Peoples-Jones can be that kind of red zone threat too, because he's a bigger guy, he can go up and get the ball over the smaller DBs. That takes the pressure off Landry, who's smaller, down, around the goal line.
Right.
Think about this. Say we got, Peoples-Jones, Odell, Jarvis, Hooper, and Chubb in the backfield. Who's getting a majority of the attention of the defense in that set? Yeah. It's not Donovan's Peoples-Jones.
No.
He's going to be going to go. He might be there might be a linebacker charged to covering this guy. And so he's got what 4.38 speed or something ridiculous like that. So who knows? He could end up being. I
think we're kind of. I was just going to say real quick. We're kind of forgetting that our third receiver honestly is going to be Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about him.
No, and Hunt's, I saw that he's been attending both the running back and receiver meetings. Yep. So, they clearly plan on using him, and they should.
Yeah, you got to use him. You don't want to waste his talent. And remember, Donovan Peoples-Jones, we said when you were so down on him, Blake, when we did the draft recap, Urban Meyer said should have been a top 10 pick.
Yep. I remember
what is that guy now?
Top 10 pick. Top 10 pick from Urban.
It's a steal. Steal of the draft, maybe.
Maybe that's why Urban's not in the front office anywhere, though. He's just kind of doing his thing at OSU. They gave him some type of a contract.
Like I said a couple episodes ago, he kind of works everywhere.
Yeah, he does episodes of Get Up. He'll just be sitting on his front porch doing Zoom calls and drinking coffee. Right.
Maybe we'll get him to kind of work for the Dawgs.
Okay. All right.
Last thing I want to hit on, last position group I want to hit on before we wrap this up, the running backs. Not a ton to talk about. Just they said Kareem Hunt looks like he's healthy. He looks like the guy who led the league in rushing. They said they said his speed just pops off the field. Like you can tell he has a different gear that other people don't have, and that's our backup running back.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. It's like we throw these names out there just as Brown. I don't know, like if other people that aren't Browns fans just like look at the talent on this team and they go, how are they not going to be successul? Like it's almost too much. It's almost too many.
There's
mouths.
a lot of mouths to feed.
But man, there's just so many. If I was a defensive coordinator, I would dread a coached Browns offense.
That's the thing. It's on the coach again.
Well coached.
We got to get that's on Stefanski. He's got to get these guys to buy into the fact that, you know, this game you might not get 10 catches for 180 yards. Yeah. This game might be Chubb's game, you know. And if you can get everybody to buy into that and be unselfish, to me, sky's the limit for this offense.
Yeah,
it's insane.
I mean, so I think about Stefanski in Minnesota last year, and I know he was only the OC, so he wasn't the head coach dealing with a bunch of crap. You know, I mean, obviously the head coach is going to have to deal with more of that than, you know, the coordinators. But, you know, Diggs started chirping about not getting the ball and all that kind of stuff. So they kind of shifted the offense because obviously you can't run the ball 40 times a game and do that for 16 weeks. But so, you know, they started involving everybody, and they had a lot of mouths to feed in Minnesota, and they handled it pretty well. But, you know, as far as buying into it, you saw what happened with Diggs. It's like, well, he didn't want to buy in, so they said, okay, well.
Oh, you mean so Odell Beckham Jr. could be traded at some point during the year? Wait a minute. Didn't we say this? This is a hot take, right? From back in the day.
Don't even.
Oh, my. Okay. Just, I thought that's where we were heading there. Josh, I thought you were teeing us up there, a little golf reference. I thought you were setting us up.
I mean, could you imagine, like, look at all the content that we have. You know, this is our first year doing the podcast. Could you imagine we did this like 2 years ago? The guys would be talking about, like, who was looking good in training camp.
Hey, did you see that Corey Coleman dropped another pass?
Hey, guys, great news. Greg Little caught 4 of the 15 passes thrown at him today. I mean,
Sean Kaiser, he wasn't throwing well with his right hand, so Hugh Jackson suggested he try left-handed practice.
That also didn't go well.
Johnny Manziel, no show again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the stuff we were able to talk about is kind of crazy. It's crazy that where we were at just a few years ago and then, like, where our expectations are at now. Like,
we won 6 games last year and fired our coach, and we think he's the worst coach of all time.
Yeah, I mean, it's
like 4 years ago, we won 0 games.
Yeah.
Right.
So
that was like the worst. Literally, after that game ended, that was like the worst day of my life, I think.
Yeah.
As a Cleveland fan. And I've seen some, dark moments in Cleveland history, but that one, like, I mean, the Indians made me cry like twice as a child. Like, I'm not even kidding. I was a soft 7-year-old and I did not take 95 or 97 well.
I don't know. Something about clarinet soccer player. I thought you were always such like kind of like a Billy B.A.
I was tough. I was a very tough clarinet soccer player back in the day.
Oh, man. Well, hey, that pretty much wraps up, you know, the first 2 weeks of training camp news. I'm sure we probably missed something and you guys will let me know about it. But, you know, if we did, let us know in the comments. Thanks for checking out our 15th episode. Really appreciate all the support. I didn't even think we'd ever make it to 15 episodes because I didn't think I'd ever even do one episode of a podcast. So
you got to believe.
Yeah,
man.
this has been really, really cool. So appreciate everybody checking us out. We did get the t-shirts in for you contest winners. So we'll be getting those out to you soon. You get them, you like them, tag us on social media. You know, that'd be really cool. Please remember to subscribe on YouTube if you're watching there. That helps us out a lot. And check out the social medias, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We're active on all 3 of those. At least I'm active on mine, and we're active on Instagram. Zach kind of lags on Twitter.
Got a busy life.
Yeah, super busy life for Zach. So once again, thanks for checking it out. We'll see you guys next week, and hope everybody has a good week.